I'm just going to get started. And I start the recording. So the first slide, the first page, is the Mindfully Center approach, what I call MCA. So this approach is based on channels. So in the middle, there's 14 channels. And channels can have four modes, which are fight and flight, rest and heal, sleep, and pause and dissociation. So this is what we talked about on the first day. And if you miss it, underneath my Google Drive or Google folder, there's MP4 recording. So it's basically a video recording that has all the slides and the audio. So channels can be affected by our physical states, our emotional states, our perspective, which is what we're going to be talking about today: sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And it can actually it is mostly affected by our sense of purpose and our connection to loving kindness, which we'll be talking about in the next few days. Um, so this diagram took me about 5 years to first have a conception. It's like I want to do this based on channels, and I know in order to resolve issues, I need to look at the physical side, emotional side, the perspective side, and the sense of purpose and loving kindness. So this has took me about 5 years to come up with it, to refine and reflect and modify and really use in my clinic. So based on this, today I'm able to resolve PTSD, very very severe depression, anxiety, panic attack. Amongst and other physical issues like knee pain or other things, cancer patients maybe. Yeah. So everything I do at this point, including my own life, is based on this mindfully center approach. And I feel very strongly that to share this with as many people as I possibly can. Yeah. So this diagram has a few features. One is the channels are in the center, and they're bidirectional arrows going between physical to channels and emotions to channels and perspective to channels, etc. So these bidirectional arrows basically means, let's say if I have a physical issue, I sprain my ankle, for example, and it affects my channels, affects my posture, affects my physical being. Eventually, it's going to cause me emotional issues. For example, I will get very, very angry easily, or I'm just extra fearful all the time. Why? Because I had basically a broken ankle that's never truly healed. So these are important things that we look at in the clinic. We try not to overlook anything, right? Including childhood trauma, past trauma, anybody who stepped on nails when they were a child. All these affect who we are when we grow up. So we do look at all things the best we can. And today we talk about sympathy, empathy, compassion. So why would I look at sympathy, empathy, compassion to start with? These three words are so common, and what do they really mean? You know, um, so it started when I was learning from two healers. Okay? They were both manual therapists, and I was learning from them uh, how to do manual massage, basically, for emotional issues. And they're both wounded. They're both wounded physically and emotionally. At first, I thought it was so noble. People, we got healers that basically sacrifice their body and their soul for the benefit of others. I thought it was so noble and I respect them so much. But after about a few weeks, maybe a month, I just thought it was so cruel because I want to do what they are doing. I want to serve healers. I want my kids to serve healers. I want my friends to serve healers. If all of us are ended up, being wounded physically or emotionally, that is not right. So I set out to seek ways to do basically what I call mutual healing. So essentially, we don't sacrifice anything when we're serving others or provide healing services to our clients. Instead, we are healing with our client at the same time, precisely the same time. Um, and through MCA, this mindfully center approach, I believe I found it. And today, a few years back, I made a vow to serve healers. And today, basically, everybody that comes into my clinic, I only do referrals. They are healers. And healers, in my definition, it just, people who have suffered, through trauma or through whatever, and they're seeking, they're finding ways to heal themselves as completely as possible. To me, they are healers. I don't believe anybody can heal another person. Okay, if that can be done, God or Jesus Christ or Buddha would have already done it. It wouldn't up to us to heal another person. Healing has to come from within. The best we can do, to be of any service to other people, is to heal as completely as possible within ourselves. So our internal light can be seen by others, and so hopefully other people resonate and maybe inspired uh, to not follow us, but to say, "Wow, that works. Let me give it a shot." And when they try it and they receive the benefit and they make the proper connection, and they can heal too, and they can become what we call lighthouses. Once they do that, so that's the whole, the reason why I start doing this. Um, so we don't have to sacrifice ourselves for the service of other people. So channels, the perspective issues are just three simple words: sympathy, empathy, compassion. And we hear this all the time. But do we really understand the effect of these um, perspectives? Sympathy, in my definition, is just judgment. If somebody come to me and say, John, I was diagnosed with cancer and I only have 3 months to live. If I say, I'm so sorry, if I say, how can this possibly happen to you? You're such a kind, nice person, and you have so many responsibilities. Your kids are still young. Then I'm arguing with reality. My friend come to me or my patient come to me with something that's already happened, and I basically said that should not have happened. That's sympathy. Sympathy basically says you're a victim. Whatever happened to you should not have happened. This is not right. This is not fair. This is injustice. So essentially, every time I say this to anybody, or I say this to myself, or somebody said this to me, essentially the person that was told, such things become a victim, as if we have no choice. The victim has no power, and without power, there's no healing. So in our clinic, we wrote on the whiteboard, and we actually wrote on the door as well. We have a sign on the door. This is a sympathy-free clinic. We don't ask our patients, how may I help you? We ask the questions, how can we work together? We don't take a position that we can help anybody. We're there to provide an environment that is safe, that is clean, that is devoid of sympathy, that there's no judgment. I serve healers. Many healers have traumatic experiences that they've been hiding from telling anybody, because the people who heard it, who have so much sympathy for them, they actually make themselves worth. So in our clinic, we are sympathy free and we respect our patients, and all we do is to find a way to empower our patients. whatever condition people come in is a great starting point. My cancer patients come in and they say, I ask, what can we do together? They say, I want to beat cancer. I want to survive. I don't want to, I don't want to, feel so weak and eventually die of this thing. I say, well, let's not just try to survive. You're going to thrive right at this moment. And I'll explain how we do that later. Okay. So sympathy or judgment is just purely brain based, from our left and right brain. So it's full of judgment. We keep a list of all the things that's unfair to us. My parents, my family, my society, my school, my teachers, my classmates that bully me and da 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 da, right? We keep that list. There's so many unfair things that happen to me in my life. If I continue that perspective, guess what? It's almost like I'm wearing a colored glasses, a pair of colored glasses, and I'm gonna see more things that are unfair. I'm gonna see more injustice. And I'm gonna collect all these things and put in my bags and say, see, the world is just full of these things. So the more I collect these things, the more I feel I am a victim. There's nothing I can do. I'm powerless. And that is not a good state to be in. A victim only has a victim has a very, very destructive power. Okay, it feels like power, but it's not. And that is called righteous anger. And righteous anger, fuel a person to destruct, to destroy things, to destroy buildings, to destroy public things, and to basically destroy everything around him, including himself. That is not true power. Righteous anger is not real power. The real power comes from that we are accepting, acknowledging what our current condition is, and ask the question, what's the most empowering thing I can do right now? Why am I experiencing this? What's the purpose of this? What does it really mean to me? And what's the most empowering thing I can do right now? If we can ask that question, we get out of the victim mentality. We get out of right away, we get out of the victim role and start doing something that's empowering. And that is really the very, very critical step that anybody who suffer trauma, whether physical or emotional, um, needs to take is I am not a victim. I still have a choice. And I'm going to explain that what that choice is in my clinic. Okay. Empathy is our ability to mirror. Um, and this is how abused can become abusers. Um, let's say I'm a 3-year-old boy and my parents are alcoholics. So every time the door opens, I mirror. I mirror my parents' emotional and physical states. I mirror them for my own safety, for my own survival. I want to know whether they're okay, and they're gonna hug me, they're gonna play with me, they're gonna praise me, they'll probably bring ice cream to me. Or if they're really drunk, and I'm gonna probably have a beating or yelling, or they can be arguing so loud that I just want to disappear. So for years, in this chaotic environment, in this unpredictable environment, I mirror. I use all my empathy skill. I literally grow my empathy skills to an extremely high level just so I can survive better, just so I can behave better. If I feel using my empathy skill that my parents are about to hurt me, there's potential things I can do to please them, to make that hurt less. or I will suppress my anger, which protects my boundary, to the minimum. So anything that I receive will not get elevated. So I've treated many people, and they have tremendous empathy skills. The younger a person, experience trauma, the higher the level of empathy skills in my mind. So empathy can be born, and it can also be learned. I've treated people who were molested by their own parents at the age of 3, and their level of empathy, the ability to mirror other people's emotional and physical states, are just incredible. And many healers, so-called intuitive healers, they use their empathy skill, they use their ability to mirror another person to do healing or to do guidance work. All we need to do is to stand in front of this person, or even just talk to them over the phone, or just to show them our hands, show them our picture, or something like that, and they will pick up, very, very accurate information or very accurate prediction of our future just by doing that, as if they are us and they know us better than we know ourselves. How do they do that? They may have psychic ability, but they also have extremely, extremely high level of mirroring abilities. So the ability to mirror by itself is not a problem. So if I'm a pure mirror and somebody with severe trauma come into my space, I will see clearly what this person's trauma is. It could be emotional, could be physical, it could be a mixture of the two. I can see clearly and maybe act upon it. The problem happens when I sympathize, when I echo my own hurt with this person's hurt, when I echo my own trauma with this person's trauma and make a judgment and say, this should not have happened. This is not fair. This is injustice. So all of a sudden, their pain, their suffering are merged with mine. And I'm getting hurt. And the other person is no better. So this to me is how wounded healers come about. They have this tremendous ability to mirror, and they use judgment, they use sympathy. And sympathy holds. Okay, judgment holds. The things that we like the most, the things that we hate the most, we keep them forever. Keep them until the day we die. How? How do we do that? Because we make a judgment. The first kiss or the first dog we have, the first lick of the ice cream. Some people will remember that sensation for their entire life because that was the best. That was so good. So anything we judge tend to hold. So in order to release our trauma, release, the thing that happened to us that we think is unfair, it's not correct, it's just downright injustice. In order to do that, we need to release our sense of judgment. And the way we do this is through compassion. So compassion is the absence of judgment. In compassion, there's nothing but just unconditional love. So when we can when we can connect our heart to compassion or to loving kindness, and through loving kindness connect to another person's heart or heart of gold, then there's no judgment. There's no more judgment. All the behaviors are detached. Everything that we suffer become an experience plus things learned or wisdom. So to fully reflect upon these three words, sympathy, empathy, and compassion, really give us a sense that there's a path that we can take to be free, to be free of the trauma we've been holding, to be free of our suffering. So in our life, pains are unavoidable. We'll always have pain. We always have, illness, injuries, death, separations of loved ones. We'll always have those pains. But the key is, can we choose not to suffer? Okay, and this is essentially what this whole series of talk is about. Is we have a choice to not to suffer. Okay. So the next slide talks about some of the symptoms of when we use sympathy. When you use sympathy a lot, basically a person can say no. This person always does things for others and can't really do anything for oneself. People who sympathize tend to blame other people for the things that they miss. And in doing so, they don't have to take responsibilities. So if I say, I've done everything, I'm always taking care of other people, and other people just don't respect me or don't return in kind. Or if I say I'm doing this because my boss told me to do this way, then I'm free of the responsibility if things go wrong. Um, so it seems like it's a benefit, right? We don't have to take responsibility, but on the other side, we're not free. We always feel like we're doing things because of somebody else, as if we have no free will. So people, if we sympathize a lot, we feel like we have no choice in life. We feel like victims. We feel like certain population are victims, and certain populations are aggressors. They take they take advantage of the other group. We see this in politics all the time, and we tend to have tremendous sense of unfairness or injustice that are growing all the time. A lot of our sympathy issues comes from our parents. We can't love ourselves unconditionally. We don't believe in unconditional love. Everything to us may be is conditional. So if I behave, I get praises. Right? If I can please another person, then the other person will treat us better. So everything become an exchange of I do this, you do this. I do that, you do that. And that's a very, very difficult way to live. Very, very difficult. And people, when we have sympathy and we're doing things that we don't really want to do, for example, going to in-laws' houses all the time, and I really, really hate going there. I've seen quite a few people that develop knee problems because they just don't want to go. They literally drag themselves over to the in-laws' houses for years, and guess what? Their best excuse is, my knees have problem. I can't go. I want to. Empathy in itself has no issue. Um, when it has issues, it's combined with sympathy, the sense that, this should not have happened to other people or to myself. So we tend to pick up other people's physical, emotional issues and can lose it as if we're somebody else. Over time, we just don't know, like this sadness or this anger or this anxiousness. Is it really me or is it somebody else that I saw? Today or yesterday or last week or 3 years late, 3 years ago, or is it cumulative? Over time, this our ability to mirror becomes the mirror becomes a very, very cloudy mirror. It's filled with stuff. It's not clear anymore. So a lot of I've seen quite a few people, so-called intuitive healers, they have this calling. They want to help people, which they can't really do. None of us can really help another person, but they want to serve people, and they use sympathy and empathy to serve people, So they will serve for a period of time, let's say 3 months, right? And they get so tired, they're so stressed, and everything else, they have to disappear, for another 3 months, right, to clear themselves up, right? And then the calling continue to call them to heal, right? So they come down and do that again, and so they have this cycles of um, fully engage themselves and fully disengage. It's very, very interesting. I have at least 6 friends are like that. So sympathy plus empathy is how wounded healers are created. So we don't want to be wounded healers. We want to be true healers. Okay? We want to truly heal ourselves. So how do we adjust this, right? So we want to be, the goal is sympathy free. Sympathy is trained. Okay, if every child who's born has this judgment, like I'm small, I can't move, I don't know how to use my hands, I don't know how to use my feet, I'm tiny, and I can't move. If we're born with that sense of judgment, we'd probably never be able to, roll on our sides, eventually crawl, eventually get up, eventually learn to walk a few wobbly walk steps, right? And eventually be able to run. So imagine, I mean, if honestly, if um, we compare, adults compare ourselves to others, right? Um, like public speaking, for example, to get on stage is frightening. Why? Because people are going to look at me funny, right? What if I make a mistake? What people's going to say about me? The other speakers are so well educated and they're so good at this. Who am I to be on stage? We have all these questions. Imagine a 1 year old or 8 month old baby asking all these questions. We'll be scare ourselves to death and not be able to move or to walk at all. So the judgment, the sense of differentiation, it's like comparing compare ourselves to other people is a learned skill. It is a good skill, right? It's not a bad skill, but when we use it, in a sympathy way to say I'm not better, then it's a problem. It's so human is the only being that criticize or doubt, whether I am worthy or I have a purpose, or should I be here. The smallest blade of grass amongst giant sequoia trees, they have no problem growing. You give them, they can hold on to any water and soil, and with a sliver of sunlight, they're going to grow the best they can. They're going to thrive. They're not going to question. It's like, okay, what am I doing amongst all these giant trees? I might as well just disappear. So we do this, right? But the good news is we have a choice. We can align ourselves differently, so we don't feel that. So we feel that we belong, instead of why am I here? Am I qualified to be here? So the way to do this is really to align ourselves to loving kindness, to compassion, to something that's far more unconditional. So the way I recommend it in the clinic to all my patients, and basically to anybody who's willing to listen, is to first we need to be present in our body. If I have trauma as a child, oftentimes I dissociate from my body. And if I'm not in my body, then I'm not connected. I can't connect. Okay? I'll be all in my head. Um, Basically, risk assessing, and not present and not grounded. So the way to be present in the body, what I recommend is to very, very gently pull up the perineum slightly. The perineum is in between our anus and our genital. It's an acupuncture point, and it's the source, it's the origin of two very, very important channels, what we call the Ren channel and the Du channel. These two channels are critical for our survival, for us to be ourselves. If those two channels don't run, we don't feel like belonging in this world. We just feel small. When these two channels are running well, we don't feel small, no matter our stature, no matter our education, no matter where we would come from, no matter our color. We just know I'm here. And when I'm here, I have a purpose. So the second thing is the sense of purpose in our heart. I have a purpose. From our heart, we can scream, we can whisper, as long as we have this unwavering sense that I have a purpose. What's my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. I don't need to know. My purpose can change moment by moment, day by day, year by year. I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know which door is going to open. I'm going to step in, and all of a sudden I have a different role to accomplish. I don't know. But I do know I have a purpose. I am here. I am breathing. And as long as I'm here, I have a purpose. I may be here to make a fool out of myself so I can truly learn, or I can share my experience that resonate with somebody and potentially change that person's life path. I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is. And to have this unwavering sense that I have a purpose means if I am experiencing cancer right now, there's a purpose for that. If I had experienced trauma before, there was purpose for that. I just didn't know what it is. But if I start to say everything that ever happened to me has a purpose, everything, then I start to ask a different question. Instead of saying that is unfair, that is not right, that is injustice, I'm going to start to ask a different question. What's the purpose of that trauma? What can I learn from it? I'm going to start to ask a different question so my brain, my ego brain, can stop protecting me so vigorously and start to solve some problem that may have a way out. When I ask the question, why are my parents my parents? The brain couldn't resolve that. But if I ask a different question, what's the purpose that my parents are my parents for me? It's a different question. It's the same scenario, but all of a sudden we're asking a different question. And when we ask different questions, we may come up with a very, very different result. So have purpose in our heart. I have a purpose. And from our third eye, which is in between our eyebrows, we connect to loving kindness. Something unconditional, that represent unconditional love. It could be God, could be Jesus Christ, could be Buddha, could be the most loyal dog that show us nothing but unconditional love. So when I elevate my perineum ever so slightly, and I got this such firm belief in my heart that I have a purpose, and I connect to loving kindness, I energize my midbrain, which lower the capacity or the energy of my left and right brain, which does the comparison, does the judgment. So all I'm doing is to connect, to energize my middle brain, so I will have clarity. So when we have clarity, there's no judgment, there's no pros and cons. If we can do one thing better than that, that is connect from our perineum through our heart, through our third eye to loving kindness, and through loving kindness connect to, for example, our parents' heart of gold. Our hearts can never be broken, can never be injured. Throughout all the traumas, we feel like our heart was broken, but our heart wasn't broken. It's our connection that was broken. So what we're doing is through our own choice, through our outrageously courageous choice to say, I have a heart of gold. I'm going to connect my heart of gold to loving kindness, to a higher energy. And through that, I'm going to connect to my parents' heart of gold, no matter what they have done. And when we have that connection from our heart, we just say, Dad, Mom, I love you unconditionally. And when we do that, we're doing the most selfish and the most unselfish things ever. Because when we do that, we confirm that I have a heart of gold. And through my choice, I can love unconditionally, which is that's what our heart wants to do all alone. And when we can love unconditionally, we can never ever get hurt. So the next slide shows how we normally interact with the world, right? That's how with sympathy, empathy perspectives. So empathy makes us more level with another person, right? So we mirror. And sympathy basically means we're higher than the other person and we're helping another person. Okay? And we so often sympathize with ourselves, where I come from. My parents are not as good to me as my brother or something like that, right? So we continue to put us in a situation where we're shortchanged, where we're a victim of some behaviors, and we carry that, right? And that's suffering. Um, so ideally, what we do is to say, I am my own person. I have a boundary. I have a purpose. And through that, I connect to loving kindness. And through loving kindness, I connect to everybody I love or everybody that traumatized me. However, I want to do this. So healing is a choice. When we are ready to heal, we can heal. So in the Bible, it says, if we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, then we're saved. The key word is if we accept. We have to accept. That is our choice. No higher power, God, Jesus, Buddha, or any other, higher power can just save us. Somehow we need to accept it. And accept that acceptation, that act of accept is that connection, is to say, I have a purpose, I connect to loving kindness. And we can, replace that loving kindness with any of these unconditional love beings. And then we're free, we're saved. And no matter what our trauma is, there's no requirement, there's no delay. When we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, then we're saved. There's no requirement, there's no rule or other regulations to say, okay, if you're hurt this much, or if you have hurt other people, then you have to go through whatever. No, we are instantly saved. And the same saying is in Buddhism. So every major religion, every seekers, their final destination is unconditional love. And everybody discover that it's a choice. It's a choice that we make. It's as if all the trauma It's as if the universe has been conspiring to heal us, but it couldn't. So all the traumas were there to exhaust all our options until we say, okay, I'm just gonna choose to connect. I'm just gonna choose to connect to loving kindness. And then from there connect to the person I hate the most, who traumatized me the most. In a lot of cases, it's our parents. Actually, in most cases, they're our parents. And when we do that and we say, Mom, Dad, I love you unconditionally from this point on, then we disconnect ourselves from their behaviors. Through trauma, we change our connections. We're born with this beautiful unconditional love connection to our parents. But through experience, through trauma, we disconnect. We disconnect that and start connect to their behaviors. And we can change that back. Then everything that we judge based on their behaviors, everything we receive from other people's behaviors can be detached. Then we're free. Behaviors are always, always temporary. And loving kindness is timeless and spaceless. So we can connect to people who have passed already. And we can heal that way as well. Okay, this is the last page, and that's exactly 45 minutes or so. So I'm going to open up the mic. In Clubhouse, if you have questions or comments or something you want to share, I talk mostly principles. So these are the principles I follow. If you can share some, real life experiences, or if you have real questions, that will really help me in diving deeper and really go, explain how these principles can be used in real cases. So in Clubhouse, please raise your hand. In Zoom, you can just open up your mic to speak, or use the chat window and type up your sharing or questions. Thank you. No questions so far, huh? Oh, Julie. So Julie from Clubhouse, please share. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, for your sharing. It's amazing. So I have a question. You said we can connect the people passed away by love. Can you give me more detail?
Yes.
One of friends just passed away.
Yes.
Friday,
yes.
I will go to funeral tomorrow.
Got it. Thank you so much for the question. So Julie's question was, how can we connect to people who have passed away already? Um, so let's give it a try. Okay. So anybody who will probably have somebody that we want to connect to. Okay. It doesn't have to be this person has passed already. It could be this person that are far away, um, and not with us, right? In a different space, right? So people can be in a different space, in a different time and space, right? Um, so this is how I do this. And I really do this as a practice. I do this to connect to my parents, to connect to my kids when I'm not with them. Um, so if we can elevate our perineum ever so slightly, I have a purpose in my heart. And when we do that, that means everybody has a purpose. Okay, so everything that we do for ourselves, everything that we say to ourselves, that I have a purpose. When I say I have a purpose, that means everybody has a purpose. The people who are gone have a purpose. I have a purpose in my heart. And I connect to loving kindness through my third eye or through the area in between my eyebrow. And through loving kindness, I connect to that person's heart of gold. And we can just whisper, whoever that person is, I love you unconditionally. If we can do that, it's as if nobody that we ever loved can be gone. Because through unconditional love, we can just be connected this way. And we can connect to each other. I actually feel very strongly that we're all connected right now to each other this way as well. So when we're in the funeral, and I went to funerals, um, if we can do this with this sense of connection, then the judgment, right, the sense that this person is gone forever, that will never be in touch with this person ever again, um, that doesn't exist. I've treated a lady with very, very severe anxiety because her grandpa passed away in a different country, and she wasn't told until very, very late, yeah, until maybe the funeral, or maybe even after the funeral. And she was furious, right, because her grandpa was her source of unconditional love. But because that she was furious, because she thought her family was blocking her from, her grandpa, she has this huge block, in her heart. So when she first came to see me, she was like, had panic attack and you know, uh, followed by depression and then panic attack and stuff like that. And she just couldn't shake that off. And she thought it was just her daily stress, raising kids and having a family and try to make ends meet. Until we dive deeper, discover that her grandpa was passed away when she was, I don't remember the exact age, but when she was certain age, and she didn't get to see her grandpa, didn't get to see the last, her grandpa for the last time. So that's exactly what we did in the clinic. She was on the table, elevate her perineum a little bit, have a sense of purpose in her heart, and through loving kindness connect to her grandpa's heart of gold. And just say, Grandpa, I love you unconditionally. She said it in French because she came from Canada. And that was a beautiful, beautiful language, which I have absolutely no idea. But it was beautiful. I have no understanding of it, but it was beautiful. And she said it for 1 minute. For 1 minute, she just said, Grandpa, I love you unconditionally, or something like that. And she was crying, she was sobbing, and eventually she was smiling and she was laughing. And she told me, John, my grandpa is pushing me on the swing. Her blockage, her sense of trauma, her judgment, block all these loving memories from her. All of them. All she can think of, when the word grandpa come up, is that trauma, is that sense of betrayal that her family has, put her through, or at least in her mind, her family had put her through. But just through what we just did, she felt precisely her grandpa's heart of gold and how her grandpa loved her. So love, honestly, is just a connection. It's not something we read in a book or some, it's just a connection. It's how we connect. So when my dad passed away in my arms, I put him, very, very gently on the bed, and I sit with her. Actually, I knelt down with her in front of him for 8 hours. And all I did was exactly what we just did. I connect to him. And to this day, I, he died in peace, and I live in peace as well. And I really feel this connection anytime I want. And I live my life as if I'm carrying part of my dad. And I know if I'm the person leaving, if I'm my dad who died, if I die today, I would love to have all my kids to live in peace. I would not wish they feel so sad and so terrible because I'm not, I'm out of this world. Yeah, I hope this answered your question. Um, yeah, please give it a try. Okay. This is to me this is what I use in the clinic, honestly, and for people who are kind, who have empathy, who really feel for other people, who really care about other people, this is so important because we tend to sympathize, we tend to feel sad, we tend to feel sorry for other people or ourselves, or our own loss. And when we do that, we become victims. We're not victims. No matter what, we are not victims. Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, to me, times like this, we need strength rather than, yeah, we just need strength. Um, yeah. Any other question or sharing? I really appreciate um, when audience come up and share because it really make you know how to use this. It will make sense, right? Otherwise, it's just a bunch of words and knowledges and seemingly reasonable assumptions. But let's put them to use. Yeah. Okay, I gotta just want to share this. So from the Zoom side, just want to share this. I am free and grounded when I realize two things. Everyone has a heart of gold, and I have a purpose. And my connections to people, to the world, and to the universe reestablished. The whole universe is lit up beautifully. Um, Thank you so much. It's a beautiful sharing. Yeah, really. I mean, the sense that I have a purpose, in our, when we're stressed, it's like I have a purpose. And everyone has a heart of gold. Everyone, it's so easy for us to assume that other people have bad intention. Too easy. Especially our loved ones, especially the people that we care about. Um, it's so easy for our brain to take things personally. Right? So if we combine, like Feng said, if we combine these two principles, that everyone has a heart of gold, including myself, okay, especially myself, or including myself, and I have a purpose, so is everybody else, then our life becomes very, very different. So when we see a struggling kid, when we see our own struggling child, we will look at very differently. We will look at this thing and it's like, what's the purpose for that? That kid has a purpose. And the thing that he's struggling or she's struggling right now, what does it really mean? What's the most empowering thing to do? And throughout all this kid has a heart of gold that can never be broken. And what's broken is connections. And what's in trouble is behaviors. And behaviors always change. What if this kid is using marijuana or even harder drugs, and start to pick up alcohol and just wouldn't come home at night? Do we worry to death, or do we get so angry that we push this kid, even further away? Or do we ask ourselves, what's the most important thing I can do right now, and truly preserve our own peace, so we continue to be a ready and shining light for our kids? Or do we get so agitated as if the world is ending? These are the choices that we are making. This is the whole point about cultivation. This is the whole point about, personal growth. Is like when things happen, we can we can change that direction. We can at least maintaining ourselves, so we're not, be part of, we don't become part of the problem. So the key is not to use our judgmental minds to solve judgmental minds problems. We need to use clarity. So when we align ourselves from perineum through our heart that I have a purpose, through loving kindness, and ask this simple question, what's the most empowering thing I can do right now? We energize our midbrain. We allow our sense of clarity a chance. We're literally taking a pause, observe what's going on, and through all angles, through our own reflection, and hopefully come up with the most empowering action. And the most empowering action may be doing nothing, which is absolutely okay. Yeah, thanks, Feng, for that comment. Yeah. What happened? My clubhouse room just disappeared. Yeah, my clubhouse room just poof. I don't know how to get it back. Oh well. Okay, so we only have the Zoom side right now. This is interesting. Okay. Um, any other comments or questions? What happened? I don't know, Feng. I don't know. My clubhouse just the whole thing just disappeared. Anyway, it's all right. May have a purpose. Not going to worry about it. And what's the most important thing we can do right now is to maintain the Zoom meeting. Hopefully, we'll continue for another 30 minutes, and we can discuss, some things that is interesting. Okay. So maybe I can share one more case. Lots of cases. Let me share a real case. So I have an 80-year-old patient. She was sexually assaulted by her own dad when she was about 12. And she came to see us, because she had knee pains. She had knee surgeries and knee replacement, and just wouldn't heal. There's numbness. There's she actually pride herself to heal really quickly, but that surgery just wouldn't heal, and she was very, very frustrated. So she came to our clinic, try to resolve it. And eventually, we point out to certain dissociation from her niece that's correlated to her trauma as a child. Okay, and her husband came with her every time. So eventually, I told her it's like, okay, in order to resolve your childhood, uh, trauma, um, what we recommend is for you to connect through your heart, through loving kindness, to your dad's heart of gold. So the first time I related to this, told her this, talked to her about this, and she was basically frustrated, if not furious. And she's like, "You want me to do what? Why would I want to do this or connect to that animal?" That's her words. And I told her, it's like, you're not doing this for this animal. Actually, everyone has a heart of gold. And if you do this, you're going to restore your heart of gold. And she wouldn't accept that. Okay, I could see that her husband was, kind of pleading her to do it, but she wouldn't do it. So like 3 sessions later, she finally lay on the table, right, and we were talking about the same thing. And she said, "John, this is way too difficult. This is not possible." And I said, you've been suffering for 70 years. Okay. Would you give it a try for 1 minute? For 60 seconds? Would you do it? And you're not doing this for your dad. You're doing this for yourself. Your dad has long passed. After a lot of struggle, it's like 10, 15 minutes later, I can see there's this silent struggle in between her heart and her brain. Her brain's going like, no, you are kidding yourself. You're going to get hurt again, and da 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 da, right? Our ego brain doesn't understand suffering. It only knows that this person is still alive. The ego's job is to survive, and it does a marvelous job. So finally, this lady elevated her perineum, have a tremendous sense of purpose in her heart, and connect through her third eye to loving kindness and to her dad, and to her dad's heart of gold. It wasn't easy for her. When she tried to connect to, from loving kindness to her dad's heart of gold, as if, she's in Star Wars and she's in this spaceship and then all these, foreign objects are throwing at her, all these mountains are coming near her, and she has to navigate all these thoughts like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You're killing yourself. But she finally connected herself, her heart of gold, through loving kindness to her dad's heart of gold. And with great difficulty, she was going like, "Dad, I love you unconditionally," from the first, phrase and onward. Then it got easier and easier. And she was crying and she was sobbing and she was, in so much pain. But within 60 seconds, she was calm. She was peaceful. And she was able to let it go. Not by letting it go. She has been trying to let it go for 7 decades. By control, by forgive, by forget, by trying to avoid the subject. But within that 60 seconds, she confronted it. Using what? Using unconditional love. And after that, she was free. Her husband could tell, her kids could tell, she could tell. That heavy weight that she's been carrying, that dark cloud she's been carrying and projecting to her husband, to her kids, to everybody she knows, they're gone. So healing can happen to me, honestly, at any time, as long as we're willing. to give it a try. Yeah. Oh, perhaps people are waiting for me to open a clubhouse room. Okay, let me try it. Good idea. No, mindfully centered. Okay, and I've open up to. Okay. So I just open it, and there are people showing up. Thank you. Oh, Nusky popped up there too. Thank you. Okay, Wayne just came back up. Oh, Fengling's here too. I don't know what happened, but the room was gone. Yeah. All right. So we have more people on the clubhouse too. But now I can hear this echo. Why?
Oh, sorry, John. It's probably me. I'm muted.
Oh,
Okay. Which one should I be on? It doesn't matter.
okay. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Probably
okay.
probably clubhouse.
Well, I just
Oh,
left.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay, good. I actually meant Zoom. Yes.
Yeah, I can see the slides. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have something to share, Natsuki?
Maybe not right now, but yeah, I will speak up if I
All right.
think of something. Thank you.
Okay, you're on. So I see that. Okay, you'll get off Clubhouse. Great. All
Yeah,
right.
I did.
Thank you. So we got another 20 minutes to go. So any sharing, comments, questions, I really appreciate that. On Clubhouse, if you speak, more Chinese, I will take those comments or sharing and question as well and translate that into English, if you don't mind. No question? Okay. Anybody have any experience with empathy? Your ability to mirror other people's emotions and physical states?
I think we do, right? I mean,
Yeah. Do you?
all of us do to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Some do more. One time I had I was
Okay. Yeah. So how? So Natsuki on the Zoom side is talking. So I'll let you know as soon as she finishes. Okay. All right. Please continue.
yeah, I was just going to say, one time I was listening to I can't even remember who it was, but I was listening to someone's story, and I could literally feel the pain that person was experiencing. Like physically, I felt the pain. Yeah, that's one experience I had. But at emotional levels.
Hey, Hao, please
he
wait.
can't
Wait.
hear.
Yeah, wait a second. Okay. So Zoom is talking, so I'll let you. Zoom 那边有人在讲话，他讲完我会跟你讲。Okay. Sorry,
It's
Hao.
complicated. No, I mean, yeah, I don't have much to say, but yeah, but at the emotional levels, I think I do feel empathy more often.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember this incident where I physically felt the pain. So that was that was, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for sharing. So Hao, please share your question or comment.
我可以用中文吗？
可以，可以。
好，我的问题是说，就是我听那个第4堂课的感觉是慈悲心好像是我们与生俱来的，就是原本就有的东西，只是我们要去恢复它。然后同情心好像是后天学来的，我的感觉这样是对的吗？
Yeah. So the question was: is compassion or loving kindness natural? A born ability, and sympathy or judgment is a learned behavior. And this is, that's exactly my point. That's exactly what I believe. So we all have the sense of compassion, but we all learn to judge. So basically, all the schooling is to learn to judge, right? To differentiate. So hopefully we start to develop our heart and allow our heart to go back to its rightful place. Our heart is our king, the rightful king. Our brain is really the protector, the king's protector. But through trauma, the protector basically says, okay, king, we want you to be safe, so we're going to put you in this cellar, we're going to put you in this fortress, we're going to put you in this tremendously protected space, so you have no touch with anybody, but it's all for your own safety, right? So what we're doing is really to say, am I still in a very, very dangerous place? Am I still in that suffering of trauma position? If not, allow our heart to come back in and truly love unconditionally and truly live a better life. Yeah. Thank you, Hao.
Thank you.
John, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I'm wondering that the people who have strong empathy, usually their boundary is weak. So how do this kind of people to rebuild their boundary?
Yeah, thank you. So the question was, people who have high level of empathy skills tend to have poor boundaries, and how can that get resolved? I think people who have poor empathy, they sense everybody's energy because their own energy is not aligned. That's my belief. I also have fairly strong empathy skills, but when I align, when I elevate my perineum, I have a purpose in my heart, and through third eye, I connect to loving kindness, and through that connection, I connect to my patients. My empathy skills are greatly diminished because I feel that connection was actually stronger than the empathy connection. So you might want to give it a try, because when we connect to loving kindness is also connected to us, right? It's always bidirectional. So essentially, we are receiving energy from loving kindness, and our patients are, our patient or other people are receiving energy from loving kindness as well. So in the beginning, in the beginning when I was doing this, it's like, why do I want to take an extra step to connect to people? Why can't I just, say I have a heart goal? So this is my refinement of this approach, right? This mindfully centered approach is, in the beginning, it was literally from my, I have a purpose and I have a heart goal. And from my heart goal, I connect to another person's heart goal. And very quickly, I found out that doesn't work for me, because then I will have this huge empathy response, mirroring other people's pain, physical pain and emotional pain. And then I say, well, how can I break that? Um, how can I add a filter in between, so there's no energy exchange, right? Because I don't want to get what other people is having, and I don't want other people to get what I'm having, right? So the energy needs to be clean. So, and I thought about this. It's sort of like the internet, right? So it's sort of like, okay, we're all connected to the internet, and through internet, we're all connected to another person. That's basically the same, right? But the internet has a whole lot of protocol to make sure that our transmission is secure and safe and virus free, something like that. To me, loving kindness is almost like that, but probably so much better, billions of times better. So if we can say take that one extra step, right, just give it a shot. It's like, okay, from my heart of gold, I connect to loving kindness, and through this, I connect to my parents or my friend or whoever I'm talking to right now, and see how it works. This is all about experience. See how it works. Yeah. Does that make sense, Wei Ying?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I was thinking about it just like to be a Wi-Fi router
Yes.
for sharing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I say something, John?
Yes, please, Natsuki.
Um, it's my personal experience, but to me, connecting to loving kindness is it's something that enables me to be fully present, fully awake. So whenever, well, I try to practice, every single moment. Sometimes I'm doing it without, being aware. I'm just doing it naturally. Other times, I have to remind myself, so I can, get myself back to center. But when I'm in that state, it's a very powerful state. When I'm with my patients, clients, I feel great, really free, centered, empowered, and it feels like I can help them a lot. And to me, it's just a very powerful state to be in.
Yeah.
Just yeah, my personal observation experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So Natsuki on the Zoom side was sharing that when she's in the state of connecting from her heart to loving kindness, she felt peaceful, grounded, and really centered, and she was able to work with her work with clients much easier, I think.
It
Right?
gives me clarity. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
not just when I'm with my patients, but yeah, any time in life.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So the sense is like when we're connected this way, we have clarity, and not just when we're working, but just going through life. Yeah. So the practice that we recommend that is to do this when we're awake, all the time. It will automatically, will become more and more of a habit. Okay. Like Natsuki, explained, right? Um, and when we're mindful that we're not, all we need to do is to basically smile, inner smile, right? It's like, oh, I'm not connected to loving kindness right now. Let me connect, and that's it. Okay. Um, some of my patients are very critical of themselves. They're like, John, I just can't do this. I'm no good, and I'm terrible at doing this. I said, well, when you find out you're not doing this, just smile and pat yourself on the back, and use your mindfulness instead of awareness to hurt yourself. Um, so awareness comes from the brain, right? The brains are always very critical. The left and right brains are very critical of everything that's wrong. Um, but when we're centered, when we can smile from our heart, there's no judgment. It's just, oh, I can be doing something that's more empowering. Let me do that. boom, we're connected back to center again. Um, and
Did you say? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, and it is indeed from that centering place that we have clarity. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Nazgul.
Oh, did you just say awareness comes from the brain? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so I really differentiate
You think so?
Yeah, I differentiate these two simple words. Okay, again, my definition might be different. Okay, so from the brain we are aware, from the heart we're mindful. So that's because to me mindfulness is definitely different than awareness. It is very similar, but they tend to take a slightly different path.
Then what about consciousness? How do you define that?
I don't define consciousness. I don't
Oh,
define.
interesting.
In my clinic I don't even touch consciousness or unconsciousness, because to me I don't know how to do this. I don't
Okay,
know
I
how to
see.
say I don't. Um, but I do differentiate between heart and brain. So there's a heart healing. There's a brain trying to heal. The brain trying to heal is, I mean, it just takes forever. The heart's way to heal is like two-year-old kids, fighting over their toys, and they were crying, they were yelling, they were angry, and one opened the arms, and the other one does that too, and boom, they're okay. Nothing needs to be done. So heart healing is instantaneous, it's quick, right? Because we're able to use our heart, and the heart, when heart connects, we don't judge, and it's really all our issues are due to our judgment.
Right, but I still think, I mean, we have a brain for reason, right? So
Oh yeah, I'm not.
brain's important. I mean, balance is important to me.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
absolutely don't
Okay,
discount
I just want.
ego's function. Actually, I fully respect our ego. Right? We need our
Right.
ego to survive, but in order to live a better life, we need heart and brain balance. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even ego, I think, right. We need it in order to survive. It's a very fundamental
Absolutely.
thing that the humans have. But I think it can go farther than that. If we use our ego wisely, I mean, it's something that drive us to strive to be a better person, or I
Yes.
mean, it shapes us up. It's something that makes who we are, right? Differentiates from
Absolutely.
others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Hugh E. Yeah.
Yes,
Please
I'm
share.
Hui Yi.
Wei, please share. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not sure over here I can ask any question.
Please ask any question.
Yeah. Recently I realized that I have an anxiety attack like 1.5 years. Sorry, 1.5 months ago. Because of some work, and recently, actually, I have been having this anxiety since last year because I'm overexhausted in my work, and there are a lot of challenges and hiccups in company. So it has been accumulating about my anxiety feelings. So recently, I realized that there are something that makes me anxiety when my company having some business problem. So I will be very, very scared, and I am very, very phobia of something. So for the past month, I was trying to um, push myself to think positive, but it seems doesn't work. I get less energy every morning when I wake up, and at the same time, I couldn't take any negative news. For example, currently maybe I am very normal. I can be very happy. I can eat normal. I can sleep normal. But when there's some negative news, it will amplify my anxiety. So I'm still learning and coping because I don't wish to get any medication because I want to work out for myself. So just to ask John, what do you say about this? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, this is a real case, and we do see this quite often in the clinic. The key from a channel, channel standpoint, is you are hypervigilant. Okay, essentially your gallbladder channel that runs from both sides of your brain that's supposed to go all the way down to your toes, they're not going down. Okay, your left and right brains are risk assessing all the time, and it's continue to do risk assessment, right? So you can't take any bad news. Any more information that comes into your brain from your company, for example, the company is not doing well and things are not working out and stuff like that, just adds to that sense of we need to solve it. We need to solve it. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Right? So there are lots of things that are in your control, and there are lots of things that are not in your control. So your brain is trying to resolve things that are not in your control. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, you are absolutely right.
Okay, so the key thing is this. Okay, so when we're in this state, normally there's a target. Normally there are people or things. Normally, even if it's a company, there are people that represent the company who you feel are sort of threatening your existence. Okay, so if you don't do well and they're not happy with you, then somehow you will get hurt. Somehow. Does that make sense?
You are right, because when there's something happen, I felt like I got threatened because of my boss may want to cut my people. So when there's a lack of resources, I will be getting tense.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the situation.
All right. So this is what I would suggest. Okay. So when we're anxious and we have sort of anxious attack or panic attack, is because we are living in the future. Okay, there's something that you just feel like something's going to happen in the future, and we don't know when, we don't know where, but something's going to happen. So then we're anxious. We're preparing for that thing to happen, and we magnify what's going to happen. The more we control it, the more we magnify that. The more we try to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do positive thinking. Everything will be okay, and right. The more we do that, the more anxious we're going to be. So what I would suggest is, how can you be more present? Okay, how can you do what's most empowering at this moment? Okay, start asking the question, what's the most empowering thing I can do right now? Grab a notebook or something like that and just write down that one question. Every time you get close to a sense of anxiousness, grab that notebook and write that question down. What's the most empowering thing I can do right now? It could be soaking your feet. Okay, it could be get yourself a cup of tea. Right? It could be anything. It could be something that when you ask that question and you truly align yourself, you truly center yourself, you truly activate elevate your perineum a little bit and have the sense of purpose in your heart, and really connect to loving kindness, and then ask that question and see what comes out of it. Okay, because you've been asking a different question. It's like, okay, what's going to happen to me if this thing doesn't work out? And that's a very daunting question. And your brain really take that seriously and really try to come up with the answer. And when it can't, it gives you a lot of anxiety. So soaking your feet, honestly, is a great way to alleviate this issue, because your gallbladder channel needs to go down to your toes. And if you have other physical, injuries or surgeries, this will make this whole thing even more, will actually magnify this thing. For example, on the second day, on the 7th talk, right? If you go to my bio, you will see a Google Drive link, okay? And in that link, it's a Google Drive, and on the second day, I think, No, on the second day, I talk about physical issues that can potentially affect our channels. So if you have roll your ankles before, if you have C-section, if you have step on a nail before or something like that, if you have poor posture that limit your breathing and make your breathing shallow, okay, all these are contributing factors when you are stressed. Okay, when you add all these things up, and given your current working condition, it can very quickly escalate to a state of high anxiety or even panic attack. Um, so yeah, but the big answer, okay, the big direction is what's the most empowering thing you can do right now, because anxiety is basically we live in the future and we're trying to predict and we're trying to avoid what we believe is unavoidable. Yeah, hopefully this serve you a little bit. Thank you.
Thanks, John. This is something that I'm trying out. Just to share a little bit, because recently, why it amplified, because I got some sickness. I would tend to feel like want to vomit. So there is one serious case early in the morning. I got fainted and I couldn't control myself to get vomiting. So after that, a lot of friends are so worried and they will start asking me about this. So then only I start to confront about this issue, and I do agree with you. Asking myself to present, to live in the present, it has to be a habit. It's not something like if I do now, it can recover, but I think it has to be a habit, and so that to recover on my brain and my mindset, I think I'm doing it right now. So I hope I'll be getting better. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, just based on your sharing, you are recovering from it. Okay, you are far more mindful of your states, right? And you're being mindful of early signs that you're getting into more anxious states. So that's all part of the healing. Um, and yeah, if you can also do abdominal breathing, that will absolutely help. Um, if you can massage your chest, okay, from underneath your clavicle, and basically around your whole chest, okay, and find pain points, that will help with your breathing and unlocking potential blockages that block your channel. Okay, your channel is basically blocked. Your liver channel is not going through to your lung channel, so you're short of breath. You're dizzy, you feel like vomiting because the channel that's supposed to go through your chest, the liver channel, is actually going into your stomach channel, and your stomach channel is probably going backwards. Okay, you're experiencing something that's very, very real, as if you're being attacked. Okay, you may have past experience that's similar to this. Um, you know, Physical or emotional trauma that's kind of similar to this. So this whole thing kind of reminds you of that. Something that you have suppressed for a long time and it's popping up, very, very rigorously. Um, so if that's the case, this is a perfect opportunity to resolve your past trauma as well. Okay, so look at this differently. You have a purpose. All these things are happening to you for a reason. Okay, um, and we're talking right now, hopefully for a great reason as well. So hopefully you heal. Okay, your healing is important. Everyone's healing is important. Um, thank you, and please contact me. Okay, contact me through IG or something like that. Maybe we can talk further if there's any deeper issues.
No problem. Thanks, John. Whatever that you have said, I'm actually trying to do. I will do some sleep meditations every night, and sometimes it's just that sometimes I cannot breathe. I will, but I think I'm getting there. I believe I'll be getting there. And yeah, thanks for sharing. I will be looking at to your videos later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah. Alrighty.
John?
Yes.
Oh, may I say
Yes.
something?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you talked about worrying about future. At the same time, I think a lot of people tend to live in the past. I do see that. In my, with my clients. They live in the past, and they just, from their previous experience, they, formulate a pattern and they anticipate it, and they just get stuck in this, state or like resignation mode, and they can't just, break up the bad habit. I do see that, and that causes them anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can learn from our own experience, but we need to, do that with a grain of salt, because you never know. Same thing may happen, but it may not, right? But people just, they tend to worry about the future, but at the same time, they are stuck in the past.
Yes.
Therefore, they're not able to be fully present.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So indeed, okay. So because of past experience,
Mhm.
we may continue to predict, what's going to happen in the future. So, it's hard to separate anxiety totally from, it's like trying to foresee the future, but it's definitely there's a component of the past as well, right? So the goal ultimately is how can we be present the best we can.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and hopefully we continue to do that.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So it's 7:40, and I need to attend to other things. I appreciate everybody's presence, and everyone's sharing. I'm gonna stop my recording